Testing 1, 2, baby. Let's see it. Testing 1, 2, baby. Let's see it. All right. Latency's not bad either. Cool. What's good, everybody? we're just vibing today. Playing some Zelda on the bigger screen behind you. Yeah, I don't know. I just kind of wanted to hang out. I got. Sorry, 1 second. There's a little piece of styrofoam packaging from a jacket I bought a little while ago, but only just took out of the packaging a little bit ago. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, right. Okay. So, I don't know. I just kind of wanted to shoot the breeze a little bit. Talk about Zelda stuff. Or not Zelda stuff. Talk about Switch 2 stuff. Talk about... you might potentially get a little bit political here. Just because, when you're talking about Switch 2, a lot of the conversation about the console has been very dominated by the price. And when you talk about price, unfortunately, that means you gotta talk about the factors influencing the price, like the global world economy right now and what's happening to it, and certain decisions that are being made by the current American administration. Because it's really only the American administration that's making these decisions right now. And I don't, it's not even raining. What? Okay. I have never been shy on this channel about expressing my political ideologies. In some cases, I should say. It wasn't, I don't just talk about politics and what I think all the time here. But, I certainly don't think I've misled anybody, considering my past, statements on politically charged situations and issues. I certainly don't think I've ever contributed to... I don't think I've ever misrepresented my position on things. I tend to be socially relatively progressive, I would say. There's certain things that I don't get, but at the end of the day, I do think everybody should just be, respected as human beings. I don't think that's too hard of an ask. And if it is, I don't know, I think he might just be an asshole. But... well, let's not get into that right now. Let's try and keep it apolitical for as long as we can, at least. Okay. Let's try our best to keep it apolitical for as long as we can. There's a guy there, and there are no trees around. Anyway, yeah, so Switch 2, if I'm being perfectly honest, my reaction is probably pretty similar to a lot of people's reactions, which is to say, I thought that the Direct, like the Switch 2 Direct where they showed all the games and they showed the system off a little bit, I think my reactions are more or less the exact same as a lot of people's. Which is like, I think the games look great, and I don't want to say surprised, but I am kind of low-key a little bit surprised by how much how much Nintendo is kind of relying, frankly, on third parties to pick up the slack. Because the thing is, their first party lineup isn't bad by any means. It's just like very limited, if that makes sense. I think the only new launch game, first party launch game, is Mario Kart. Um, because every other game that's the launch title, right? Because DK Bonanza is coming out in July, so it's not at launch. It's like a month after launch. No launch Zelda. Well, not a new Zelda. They're doing Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are getting the upgrades, which, you know, as I play Tears of the Kingdom right now, I mean, I don't think it necessarily needs an upgrade, but it could look better. Um, there's some aliasing and shit sometimes. It also doesn't help that I have my Switch plugged into a 4K screen, so it has to like okay. Sorry. I have the top of my laptop screen kind of covers up just the center bottom of the monitor. So if I ever run into like dialogue boxes, you know. I can't really move it anywhere either because there's so much random shit on my desk. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh yeah. Okay, so I'm really surprised on launch day, right? On the launch day of the console, when the console finally drops, like when it's the day for the console to come out, um, it's it, like it. The only first party game that's coming out for it is Mario Kart. When it was the first Switch. Okay. When the first Switch came out, um, obviously Breath of the Wild was the big launch title, right? But fucking there were still snipper clips. There was still 1-2 Switch. There were other games, and the third parties were not on board with the original Switch, which like understandably so, right? We were coming off of the Wii U era where third parties said, "Well, we're just not gonna help you. We're not putting our shit on Nintendo," until the Switch started selling, and then they were like, "Okay, wait a minute." So, like, I get it. I understand. I understand what, like, I understand why this console is getting more attention, getting more, you know, love from third parties. That's not my point. My point is more, I'm surprised by the fact that Nintendo felt like they could rely so much, frankly, on third party games to sell their console. And I say this because Nintendo has to know that the main reason people buy Nintendo consoles is to play Nintendo games. Or because it's the cheapest option. Which we'll get to that. Boy oh boy, we'll get to that. But you know, it was I don't know. It was just really interesting to see Nintendo just kind of like put the burden on third parties this go around, because they knew they. I don't know if it's because they're like, oh, we know we can, so we might as well. Like I don't know. I don't know what their thought process was. I don't presume to know. What I do know is that the games that are coming out launch day are either A, Mario Kart from Nintendo, B, old games from Nintendo, like Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, and Breath of the Wild, both getting the upgrade packs, or C, third-party games, because those are the only games coming out. Those are the only games coming out on launch day for the Switch 2. Is it cool? Yeah, it is kind of cool. I think it is kind of cool that Nintendo feels confident enough in their relationships with third parties to do something like this. I think it is cool that they feel confident enough in their relationships with third parties to let them kind of take over like this. But I don't know. I guess time will tell if that works for them, because once again, the main reason people are buying the Nintendo console is either A, the Nintendo diehards who are doing it because they're Nintendo diehards, B, the people who like bought the Nintendo system because they want to play Nintendo games on it. Yeah, there we go. Anyway, sorry. The people who are playing it to play Nintendo games. People who are playing it to play Nintendo games are buying Nintendo consoles to play Nintendo games, or C, the people who, for whom it is the cheapest option, or like they have multiple kids. Well, even then, if you have multiple kids and you buy an Xbox for the living room, that's like everybody's Xbox. That's the family Xbox. All of that to say, I think, I don't know. It's interesting. I'm not quite sure what the wave is here with Switch 2. I'm really not quite sure. Specifically when it comes to the like game library at launch. What I will say, is dropped a little bit of frames. What I will say is that, as a Nintendo fan, I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna, because I did buy the Switch at launch. I waited until the September, I waited until September of 2017 to buy my Switch personally, and I mean I don't regret that for a second. Like, when I bought my Switch, by September, enough cool games had come out that I could, like, first of all, when I bought it, I could buy 2 games with it. Like, I could afford to buy 2 games with the system. I bought Breath of the Wild and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and they were both out. And 2, they were both out, and there were more. I mean, there were other games that I could buy soon after. After I bought those 2, I bought what else did I? What did I buy in my first year? Because I didn't go digital until a little bit later. Oh, the very next month, I bought Super Mario Odyssey. Like right after the month after I bought my Switch, I bought Mario Odyssey, and then I think for my birthday. Oh shit! Are we fighting? I saw Tulin like shoot somebody. Oh, the Gloom hands. Okay. We might as well. We might as well. What's up, guys? Yeah, y'all can't reach me up here. Phantom Ganon? Phantom Ganon. Where's he gonna be? There he is. What's up, bitch? With your own bow, how does it feel? What the hell? What even hit me? Gotcha. Flurry rushed him. Anyway. When it comes to the Switch 2, right? There's certain things that I'm just like really concerned about, frankly. You know, I don't see myself immediately spending the money on it. I don't see myself immediately spending the money on it. I have bills to pay, man. Like I do. I have bills to pay. And like I understand that there are some people who will like buy it day one, and that's great. Maybe I will too. Like maybe I will. If I'm convinced enough. Maybe I will. Hopefully the price doesn't increase. And I think now, frankly, is a good time to talk about it. Because I think now really is I think now is a good enough time to talk about it. Because, you know, we're in a weird position when it comes to the Switch 2 like pricing system. We are in a weird position when it comes to pricing the Switch. Oh, hey, Link. We are in a weird place when it comes to Switch 2 pricing. I don't know. It's all right. Let me level with y'all for a second here. Switch 2 pricing is interesting because of like all of the factors like leading into it. I think that like obviously, you know, there's the price of the system itself, which is, let's get it out of the way, $450. Now, it's rough because on the one hand, it's not like I can say it's not worth the money. It is. I think it's a very strong, frankly, system that, at the very least, definitely seems like it should be worth the money, with all of the features. At the same time, when you're pricing it at $450, you are losing part of the edge that you had, where with the original Switch, you know, well, I mean, it's not like they're gonna. First of all, it's not like they're gonna stop selling the Switch. I should point that out. Like, it's very clear that that's not the plan. They very much definitely do seem like they're going to continue to sell the Switch, like the original Switch. And then they're just gonna hold on, give me 1 second. Oh, okay, cool. They very much do seem like they're going to continue to sell the Switch. Like, I don't think they're gonna stop selling the original model. Maybe they'll stop selling the original model and only sell the Switch OLED and Switch Lite, or maybe they'll just continue the OLED to create even more of a gap between the two. Like, maybe that's what they'll do. But all of that, like, I don't know. Like, that's all speculation. That's not what I'm trying to... Basically, they're going to keep the original Switch around because it kind of makes no sense not to. If y'all get it. Like, the biggest advantage, the main reason why the Switch has sold some, like, 150 million units has been because it's the cheapest option. It's $300. And when the flagship consoles that, you know, kids are like, I want that one, is the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, and they're both $500 each. it's a lot harder, frankly, of a pill to swallow for most people than to just say, fuck it, $300, sure. Like, in comparison, $300 sounds a lot easier to handle. For 50, now we're encroaching on that like premium. Now we're encroaching on that premium console experience. Like, we're starting to hit the same like price points as the PS5, as the Xbox Series. We're starting to get there. And I'm not saying that the Switch 2, like I said, I think $450 is a reasonable price for what you're getting with the Switch 2. I think it is a premium console. I think it's worth a premium price. But the Switch had that advantage. That was part of the reason why it sold so well. The part of the reason why the Switch sold so well is because you were still getting games, and like you were still getting new games in some cases, like the new Doom Eternal, Doom 2016 came to the original Switch. Oh shit. Doom Eternal, Doom 2016, they came to Switch. These games came to Switch, but they were, and it didn't matter that they were like, not of the same quality as their Xbox and PS4 counterparts. It didn't really matter if, oh, okay. Sure. It didn't really matter if they were like a somewhat lessened experience, because who cares? Like, you're paying $300 and $60. And then after the PS5 and Xbox Series X came out, it was another really great, like, oh, come on, really? Sorry, I like just got into a fight with a bunch of monsters, and now there's a friggin' blood moon. Alright, well, I guess I'm getting away from here. Because of its price, the Switch was a go-to for a lot of people, is my point. And now that it's $450, now you're actually playing in the same ballpark, frankly, as the PS5 and Xbox Series consoles. Obviously, it's still less than the PS5, the Xbox Series X, and especially the PS5 Pro. But at the same time, it is... Okay, that's it. Not getting any more from you. It's still cheaper, right? It is still a little bit cheaper, but it's not quite as cheap as it used to be in comparison. And not only is it not quite as cheap as it used to be, it's also... Not only is it not quite as cheap as it used to be, it's also like if you don't really care, if price is the main thing, right? There was an argument to be made for the Switch over, say, an Xbox Series S, right? Like, because they were the same price. The Xbox Series S is $300, the Switch is $300. And if price is the ultimate concern, you could just get a Switch Lite, and that's even cheaper than an Xbox Series S. And you're golden. But with the original Switch, like the original model, with that, it was $200 or $300. Sorry, not $200. It was $300. It was... Uh-oh. Where'd it go? Sorry, I found a Korok. The original Switch, it was $300. It was the same price as the Series S. Yeah, you weren't necessarily getting all of the brand new games that the Series S was getting, but you were paying significantly less. Or not significantly less, but you were paying the same amount, and it was portable. And you had that argument to make. Like, you could realistically be like, okay, I like the portability. Now, with Switch 2, because it's $450, like I said, I don't think it's an unjustified price, right? I think it is a justified price. I think it's a very justified price. With all of the new additions that they've made, I think it is a justified price. The problem is now you're playing in a different, like, you're playing ball in a different park. Because it used to be, say, oh, hello. Okay, sorry. This is like is this a side quest? It would be really funny if this is a side quest. Well, so, hold on. You know what? I'm just gonna... move everything that's on this side of my desk on top of my little filing cabinet. Honestly, I don't know why I haven't thrown some of the stuff out. And a lot of it's just trash. Some of it's important, but a decent amount of it's just garbage. Shoot. I figured something would probably fall and I'd miss it, but... Okay, here we go. Anyway. Sorry. What was I talking about? Yeah. So with the Switch being priced at $450, it's... You've done... you fucking... Like... Anyway. This is a stupid friggin'... Okay. This is a stupid little game. Oh, and I only have 3 minutes to do it? Boo. Yeah, no. The thing about Switch 1... The thing about Switch 1... was that you were pricing it in a different camp. Like it was a different ball game, right? Back, like, with the original Switch, because it was only $300, the only comparison you had was, the Xbox Series console, like the Series X or Series S, and like you could make a portability argument for the Switch for the Switch. And be like, hey, oh, this is hard. I'm realizing now that this could get difficult. Oh, that's diabolical. They put a time limit on it too. Fuck you, lady. Oh, but then you have this little depot. Okay. Yeah, I'm done. You can have fucking $20. Anyway. It's just a mini game of picking up a bunch of stuffed sand seals, and I don't care enough. I thought it was a... See, I thought it was a something important. Like, I thought it was a side quest, but no, it's just a mini game. Whoop-de-doo. Anyway. Yeah, so Switch 1, Switch 2. Yeah, Switch 2 at $450 has to compete with the luxury consoles, right? It's now competing with the PS5 and Xbox Series S in terms of price. It's not quite there, but it's basically there. At $450, it is now cheaper to buy the PS5 all digital, and you can make the argument like, oh, but it only plays digital games. And to that I will tell you, nobody cares. Except a very small handful of people. Nobody really cares about the inability to play physical games. It's sad but true. Like, nobody really cares. I wish it wasn't. I'm gonna be honest with you. I wish it wasn't, but nobody really cares. And so, if you're now playing in this greater, you're now playing in this much greater price bracket, you have to justify yourself more. And while I think the Switch 2 does that by the very nature of it being the Switch, so it's portable, where the PS5 all digital isn't, and you can be like, oh, but the PS5 has the portal. And I would say nobody's buying that, but apparently people have been buying that thing, which I don't know why. Regardless, it doesn't matter, is my point. With a Switch, it's the Switch. The whole point is that you can play the same game, you take it out of the dock, and now you're playing the same game on the go. Whereas with the PS5 Portal, not to mention the PS5 Portal itself costs $200 or something, probably even more. So you'd have to buy the PS5 all digital for $400, and then the Portal for $200. Now you're already over the price of the Switch 2. All of this to say, I think the Switch 2 has done a good job of justifying its price tag. However, that price tag is... I don't want to say it's high, but it is kind of high. It is. I think $450 is kind of high. I think it's worth $450, but $450 is a solid chunk of change. Now, all of that would be okay if the price of the games wasn't so weird. I'm not gonna lie to you. Okay, and this gets into greater economics things. So this is where we're gonna start talking more economics related stuff. $60 games, or rather people thinking that $80 for games is too high, comes from two things. It comes from one... It comes from two things. $60 for games, or $70 for games, or $80 for games is not if you look at how much it costs to develop games these days, as well as how much games used to cost, it's really not that high. SNES games used to be $80. And $80 in the 90s is over $100 today, I think. Let me check an inflation calculator before I talk out of my ass. So the SNES game, oh shoot, hold on. Okay. So apparently Chrono Trigger was $80. Chrono Trigger. 1995. So in 1995, it cost $80. That same game today, in 2025. Now, you know what? This is the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics website. Let me use a different one. Okay. If in 1995 I purchased an item for $80, then that same item today would be $167.50, according to USInflationCalculator.com, a Coin News Media Group company. I don't know necessarily if that rate is correct. That number seemed about the same as the Bureau of Labor Statistics, so I'm not quite sure. But let's go with it for now, right? Let's just go with that number. Let's go with the idea that $80 in the 90s, in the mid 90s, costs about $170 almost today. The $60 game was more or less standardized, I would say, in the Xbox 360 and PS3 era. The Xbox 360 came out in 2005, and games started retailing for $60. The Wii came out in 2005. It was still selling games for $50, and it made sense because the Wii was a significantly less powerful system, and, the games wouldn't look as good, and didn't require, I won't say didn't require as much effort, because, you had to program in the motion controls and everything, but, developing higher quality assets for higher definition games takes more manpower. It does. You just have to try harder. And the computing power of your development staff has to be higher and all this other stuff, right? So, $60 games has been a standard set for premium AAA titles since 2005. It was not raised from 60 to 70 until the PS5 Xbox Series X generation until 2020. Right? So from 2005 to 2020, if I bought a game for $60 when the Xbox 360 came out in 2005, then that would be about $79.51 in 2020. So it would be about $80. Which means that, and that was in 2020, and we've had rampant inflation since 2020, and today, in 20 years later, it would actually be closer to $100. It would be $98.03. So, that is to say that I think the main reason people are pissed over the price jump from 60 to 70, and now the price jump that Nintendo's doing from 70 to 80, and in the case of physical games, 70 to 90, is primarily because of conditioning. We have been conditioned, right? Like I said, the standard pricing didn't change for 15 years, and now it's changing after 5, right? 5 years is still not it's not a short amount of time. 5 years is half a decade. Now it's changing after 5. It's not that the pricing is necessarily incorrect, right? But we've been conditioned for so long to expect that this experience should be priced like this. And I'm not going to say that's good or bad. To be fair, to be honest, I'm right there with you. I think $90 for games is OD. But in terms of calculating how much the dollar has lost buying power, $90 for games, for physical games, is not necessarily a incorrect pricing in terms of sheer dollar value. Two things have happened that contradict that. The other issue is that people's spending power, right? The dollar value, the value of the dollar going down means that people's spending power goes down, right? Because the value of a dollar, if the value of a dollar decreases due to inflation, if the value of a dollar decreases, then people who have those dollars can't buy as much. That is like the basic, like, that's inflation. That's what inflation is. Inflation is the value of the currency going down, which means people's buying power is lessened if you have a set amount of money. The other thing that has happened is that inflation has been rampant. And more than just inflation being rampant, wages have not kept pace. And so not only is people's buying power down because of rampant inflation, but people also aren't getting paid to keep up with how much their buying power is decreasing. So their buying power is already decreasing because the dollar is losing value, and then on top of that, they're not earning more to compensate for that. So their buying power is decreased even further. So I get it. And yeah, I'm not happy with games being priced at $90. That's rough. That's really rough. $90, by the way, was the cost of like Pokemon and its DLC combined. In the DS era, you could quite literally buy the version of Pokemon and the third version for $80. It's bad. It's really bad. But it's whatever. Okay. It's not whatever. It is bad. It's rough. It's really rough. And I feel for people out here. That's gotta be hard. And I 100% understand why people are super pissed off about, games being that expensive. And yeah, that does affect me. I mean, I don't think I'm going to be buying as many games if they all cost $80 to $90. It's just not feasible, especially not with Nintendo games that very famously don't go on sale. They don't. Nintendo, if they feel like it, sometimes, maybe, might, potentially choose, if they feel generous, to give you a sale during Thanksgiving. But 9 times out of 10, they just say fuck you and move on with their life. You can't buy our games at full price? Then don't buy them then. I get that, by the way, I also understand that mentality. I do. It's Nintendo's created almost has essentially made themselves a luxury brand as a result of that choice. They have. That's a thing that they've done. They've turned themselves into a luxury brand by never putting their shit on sale. Yeah, they've turned themselves into a luxury brand by never putting their shit on sale. It's true. It never goes on sale, and as a result, it is quite, what's the word? Because it never goes on sale, it is quite a luxury to buy a Nintendo game. I'm not going to say it's a smart or bad market practice. I'm just saying, that is what it is. If that was the point, if Nintendo was trying to turn themselves into a luxury brand, I mean, they succeeded. That's how luxury brands do. They they never put their stuff on sale. Yikes. They never put their stuff on sale, and they They just continue to sell it at full price, and knowing full well that people will buy it at full price, because why wouldn't they? That's the thing, though. At $80, video games have always been a luxury, but at $80, they're so much more of a luxury that it's not even funny. Like it's gonna be really hard, like really friggin' hard, to justify a price increase like that for a lot of people. And so, making video games $80 is a choice that Nintendo is making, and I mean, I don't know how it's gonna pan out. I just know that, like, me personally, I'm probably not gonna buy as many games as I used to. I'm just not. Can't afford it. Simple, simple fact. It's just how it is. I won't be able to afford to buy as many games as I used to when they're $80. And it kind of sucks. Like, it does. It does kind of suck. I'll live. Yeah, I'll friggin' live. They're just video games. It's not that deep. It's not that deep. It never has been that deep. What is a little more unfortunate is just, as a result, I think there are going to be some experiences that I may just have to miss out on. Like, I'm going to have to be a lot more careful with what games I choose to spend my money on. And that means some games aren't going to make the cut. Mario Kart, yeah, it's worth $80. Donkey Kong Bonanza, it looks good, but sorry, I don't think I care enough about Donkey Kong or about how good that game looks. It does look good. I just don't think I care enough about it to spend $70 on it. Pokemon, you bet your ass I'm right there. ZA, taking that shit to the bank. But that's because I'm a shill. That's because I'm a Pokemon shill. I will literally do anything for Pokemon. Like I'm always playing Pokemon. Especially like recently. I mean, actually, you know what? That's not true. I guess I'm not always a shill for Pokemon. I got burned by Let's Go, so I didn't. Like, I didn't. I never bought the Sword and Shield DLC. Never did. Sword and Shield DLC was not my thing. I didn't want it. I said, no, I'm not going to spend money on it. Same thing with BDSP. I never bought BDSP. I was like, I don't want this game. I don't care about this game. It's bad. So, no, I'm not going to do it. And look at that. I'm like, and I didn't. I don't know. It's going to be rough. I think the worst part, though, has been the news today that dropped about how the Switch 2 pre-orders were put on, like they were, Nintendo, they didn't cancel the pre-orders that had already been put out. I think they I don't think they canceled the pre-orders that had already happened. I think they yeah, I don't think they canceled the pre-orders that had already gone through. Well, actually, I don't think any pre-orders had started yet, but they were going to start. That's what it was. They were going to start next week, and then Nintendo delayed them because of political shit. And it's really annoying. It's really friggin' annoying when things that you care about get affected by dumb political crap. It sucks. Really friggin' sucks. I have more thoughts on that, obviously. I think it's obvious to anyone, frankly, that there are more thoughts to be had than, man, really sucks when things you care about get screwed over or get, you know what I mean? I think everybody's got more thoughts than that. But for the sake of my sanity, for right now at least, I won't rant about it. Not yet, at least. Maybe later. How long have I been streaming? Almost an hour? Maybe later. If I'm still streaming, I'll rant about it. Yeah, I won't lie to you. I'm a tad, just a touch, annoyed by. I am a touch annoyed, frankly, and man, I'm like trying to find the most diplomatic way to say things because I don't I don't know. I think it is, frankly, unproductive of me, and this is an idea I've had for a while that I think it's frankly unproductive of me to be like, I should use my platform to say something. Like, what platform, brother? I'm not. If I were to give political opinions, I'm not using my platform to say something. I'm bitching and moaning on the internet. That's my personal view. I don't think I have a platform. Yeah, that's just me. Me personally. Cool. Thank you. $20. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to get too political because I don't like expressing political opinions on the internet. But I mean, when you start talking about economics and you start talking about what happened today with the Nintendo Switch 2, the pre-orders and whatnot, when you start talking about it, you kind of have to start talking about politics because what happened is so intrinsically tied to the politics of what's going on, particularly in the United States. And the current administration, it is so tied in to that it's not much you can do. You kind of have to talk about politics, but I'm trying to avoid it as much as I can because of my views on politics on the internet. All right, you know what? Screw it. I'll talk about politics. It's rough. It's really bad. It's really bad right now. It's oh my god. It's so gross. Just like everything. This current administration and frankly a lot of members of Congress from both parties are being, I would argue, criminally neglectful. Um, it's not good in the slightest. I'm never gonna say that the current administration didn't win. Um, I'm not gonna sit here and say that the current administration didn't get elected by the American public, but I guarantee you that they were not elected by the American public for the shenanigans that are going on right now, because all the shenanigans that are going on right now are quite literally only harming people. Um, Not just those in marginalized communities, but also just fucking regular people. like, okay, I don't like to talk about like marginalization that much because outside of not being white, I'm not in any other marginalized community really. Um, but man, oh boy, other marginalized communities definitely got it rough. They got it rough, and that's about all I'm gonna say on that. That is it sucks, really, really, really sucks. But what I will speak on is shit that affects absolutely everybody, and that is money. Uh, Man, what this administration is doing economically is abhorrent. Like it is genuinely fucking ridiculous. Um, it's really bad. I was just today. Uh, we'll do some like basic bitch like baby's first economics like lecture type of thing. Um, Today, like just today, just today, the Dow Jones Industrial Average fell by 2,200 points. As far as I'm aware, it could have fallen even more. Honestly, it might have fallen even more. It like in all likelihood, it did fall even more. But as far as I'm aware, 2,200 points, and that is bad because the Dow Jones Industrial Average is exactly what it sounds like. It's basically an index that tells us as regular people who are observing the market how well or bad the market is doing. Um, Here's the thing: if a market is doing well, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is specifically the top 30 best companies. Well, like the top 30, right? Like that's what it is. It's the top 30 companies. I googled this earlier, and it's taking basically the average of those 30 companies and how well or bad they are doing, averaging it out. Oh, god damn it. Sorry, I'm fighting a Lionel. Averaging out how good or bad they're doing, and we can use that number as essentially a marker for how well the US economy is doing in general. Um, Weird issue that happens when, it's not doing well. It means that we lost a lot of money as a country. Some of the most valuable companies are exchanged here in America and contribute to our GDP. And the reason why that's important is because we make and spend a lot of money. And that's why we even get the loans that we're given. And the thing about those loans is, it's pretty nice to have them, considering. Oh, damn, he shot me out of the sky. It's pretty nice to have those loans, considering that's how we get, that's how we get stuff. Like that's just how we get stuff. Other countries trade with us because we spend so much money. And because we spend so much money, we are able... Where is he? There he is. I have a bow. I equipped it. Whatever. Because we spend so much money, we're willing to have trade partners are willing to trade with us. Because we spend so much money, those trade partners are willing to sell us things. And the government debt or whatever, a lot of it is just we've gotten things off of the goodwill of being America. And we spend a lot of money and we trade a lot, so we get to have stuff and we get to spend money on stuff. The weird problem is that when we're not doing so good, we can't get those loans. We can't have them because we're not allowed. Because we're not doing so hot. We're just not doing well, and therefore countries are like, well, you can't have, other countries that we borrow money from are like, you can't have loans. You can't have money from us. We won't let you borrow anything. And we kind of need those. those are pretty important. It's how we get to do things. It's how we get to spend money on stuff. There we go. Oh, hey, that killed him. Anyway, that's how we get to spend money on stuff as a country. That's how we get to spend money on stuff. And that's important because we need money to spend. We need money to spend on stuff. It's very, very expensive to run a country. So, all of that to say, when our GDP drops, is bad, right? It means that the total money we make went down. And the Dow Jones Industrial Average is the average that we can take of some of the best, most highest money-making companies in the country. And when that goes down, shit's hitting the fan. And when that goes down, it means things aren't looking so hot. And when it goes down by 2,200 points, it means that we're hitting DEFCON levels. 2,200 points knocked off the Dow is it's time to shit your pants. That's what it means. It means it's time to shit your pants. Because that is a lot. It's a lot of money. Matter of fact, let me economics news. Yikes. 2,200 points. Jesus Christ. Sorry, I'm trying to find the because the like this it's annoying because this like Wall Street Journal article says that it's like live. Um, let's see. Load more. I'm trying to figure out exactly how much money we lost today. I mean, sorry, I'm not getting I'm not getting an actual like number. You know what I mean? I'm not really seeing a number. Oh yes, okay, perfect. This says 1 day ago, so this is actually yesterday. That like, this was yesterday. Today, like just today, just Friday, the Dow Jones fell even further by 2,200 points. And yesterday it fell even more. Yesterday, the Magnificent Seven, which is like a bunch of tech stocks, Nvidia, Apple, Google, Microsoft, Facebook, Amazon, and Tesla. Yeah, they all lost more than combined, lost more than $1 trillion in market cap. They lost $1 trillion. Yeah, that's bad. That's terrible. For the record, $1 trillion, the two richest people that we know of in history at one time are Mansa Musa and Elon Musk, both of which at their peak were valued at $400 billion. Put them together, and you still aren't hitting the number of money that just the top 7 tech companies lost yesterday. Oh my god. Like, it's so bad. Are we headed for a recession? Almost certainly. Like, it's basic. It's going to happen. If you don't consider us already in one, it's happening soon. Like, we're not in a good place. We're just not. We are simply not in a good place. I'm mad. Long story short, I'm mad. My personal, I don't really have a very big investment portfolio or anything. But everything is down. Like, absolutely everything is down. Just literally anything you could possibly think of is down. Because, like, it just is. The only things that are up are apparently American Rebel Holdings Inc., Rocket Companies Inc., and GameStop. Which, that's interesting. GameStop is up. I don't really know how. I think it probably has to do with the Switch 2 announcement. American Rebel Holdings Inc. I actually don't even know what that is, really. And then Rocket Companies, I'm assuming, is the company that owns Rocket Money. I guess. I don't know. It's bad. No two ways about it. This is bad. This is really, really bad. And, What is this? I do want to know what this is. American Rebel Holdings. What is this? Branded safes and personal security and self-defense products, and has recently transitioned into the beverage industry through American Rebel Beer. Apparently got $2.5 million in private placement. Okay. Sure. Why not? I don't know. That's basically they got some good news today, which is why they're up. But you look at the price of literally everything: S&P down 300, Dow 30 down 2,200, Nasdaq down almost 1,000, crude oil down almost 7%, gold down 2.10% or 2.1%. Like everything is down. Literally the only thing is that's up is some forex, a few forex like things. That's all that's up. Euro index down. British pound index down. Nikkei down. Australia down. Crude oil, gold, silver, copper, natural gas, all down. It's all friggin' down. Literally the only thing that is up today, it looks like, is Ford. The Ford Motor Company apparently is up today. Which, that's a friggin' miracle. No, but year to date, they're still down. And over the course of 1 year, they're still down. Down 27% over the course of the year. Down for the past year, like this day, 2024, they're down 27%. Year to date, like from January 1st to right now, they're down 3.25%. Oh, man, nobody's doing good, man. Not a single friggin' person's doing good. Ford is up just today, but still down for the year. Nvidia's down. Nvidia's actually, I won't say affordable, but Nvidia's getting there. Shit. It's only $95 a share. That ain't half bad. Apple's down to $188 a share. What's Apple down from year to date? Year to date, 24%. Year to date, they're down 24%. Just today, they're down 7%. Jesus Christ. They're down an extra percent in after hours. Nobody's doing good. Nobody's freaking doing good. And the thing is, what's going to happen when what's inevitably going to happen when these companies lose money or like the value of their share prices go down? I mean, first of all, as a public company, they are beholden. They have a fiduciary duty to their shareholders above everybody else. They don't care about you. They don't care. Like, the companies do not care about you. Like, this is just a fact of life. Not a single company is in the business of caring about you. They care about their bottom line. They care about their shareholders. Before a public company care about their shareholders before anybody else, more than anyone else. They care about their shareholders if it's a public company. Private companies, some of them can be nice. Like, I think Costco is still privately owned, and that's why that CEO is as good as they are. Arizona Tea, still privately owned, and that is why that CEO is as good as he is. Public companies, like those traded on public stock markets, do not care about you. They don't care. They never have. They never will. Because they like their job is not to care about you. Their job is to care about their shareholders. Because their shareholders are the one who keep the lights on. I'm not saying that's good, I'm not saying that's bad, I'm saying that is what it is. Like that's reality, if you will. Like that's not I'm not saying that is necessarily a bad thing, I'm not saying that's a good thing, I'm just saying that is reality. And so, Nintendo, same thing with Nintendo. People are like, "Oh, the Switch 2 costs so much money." Nintendo's primary goal is to make their shareholders happy, because that is the goal of every publicly traded corporation. And Nintendo is a publicly traded corporation. Now, it's extra complicated, probably, honestly, for Nintendo, because they were like, you know what I mean? Like they were, I can't just say, you know what I mean? Fuck. It's extra hard for Nintendo because they're following up on what is probably their most profitable console, like, ever. The Switch not only sold gangbusters, like it sold gangbusters. Like that thing has sold over what, like 150 million units already. The Switch was ridiculously profitable. Like ridiculously profitable. It was. That's just it. That's reality. Because it sold so many units, and it like cost very little to make, because they were, even when the Switch came out in 2017, the chip that they were using was already a few years old, and then they made the custom chip afterwards, which probably got them a better deal, honestly, than using Nvidia's Tegra X1 that they did in the original launch model Switch. Right, the Mariko chip that they ended up putting in the Switch the red box Switch and the OLED and the Switch Lite, or I don't remember if they put it in the Switch Lite, but regardless, the red box Switch I know had it. That chip probably didn't cost them that much because they specifically were working with Nvidia. They were like, we're gonna make this chip. Like, we together are gonna make this chip. You exclusively get to make this chip for us. Nobody else gets to buy it, but like, we won't pay you like a whole lot. We'll pay you a reasonable amount because we're using old ass technology. We're just doing a die shrink. That's all Mariko was, basically. It was just a die shrink. So that it would be like a little more efficient. It was the same amount of power, just in a smaller amount of space. That cost Nvidia very little, probably, to manufacture. Well, I mean, Nvidia outsources, so maybe it did cost them more than I think, but like, it probably still wasn't that much money. And then like, it cost Nintendo very little because they get exclusivity, which means they've worked out a good deal with Nvidia so that everybody's happy. And then because the Switch sold so well, not only does it cost so little to make, but it's also making a ton of profit. Now they have to follow that up. That's got to be hell on earth. I wouldn't wish that for anybody. To be perfectly honest, I would not wish that for anybody. Having to follow up the Switch financially, in terms of profitability, I wish that for no one. That's just not, you know what I mean? That's rough. Yeah, you got a rough go of it. If that's what's happening, you got a rough go of it. That's it's kind of where we're at. Like, it's just kind of where we're at. Whoa, okay. We're up in the sky now. We fly now. I don't wish that upon anyone. That's got to be hell on earth. To have to, like, to be Nintendo right now must suck in that you have to follow up probably the most profitable console ever made. Like, that would be rough. That would be hard. It would. Like, I can't imagine that that's easy to have to deal with. Because, you know, your shareholders are gonna be unhappy if they make less money. So you have to maintain decent margins, but then you also have to make a better product, and making a better product means newer tech, which means more cost, which means smaller margins, which means higher price. So that's how we get to where we are. That's how we get to Switch's $450. Switch 2's $450. That's how we got there. And that's, like, it sucks. It does. I feel bad. For everybody that cannot afford it, I feel bad. If I had to guess, I'd say that their plan, honestly, is probably to, like... That's hard to say. It's hard to guess what their plan is with the Switch 2. Because I feel like... I don't know. I really don't know. I feel like it would be... like pretty hard to find a balance, and I can't imagine the Trump tariffs made it any easier. Yeah, I know. I said his name. God, fuck it. We're getting political. That man is a fucking moron. Why anybody involved in his campaign thought that this economic strategy was a good idea? Like, they all need to go. Like, if any of them have any shred of econ background, they need to go back to school. This is pathetic. Like, it's pathetically bad. Like, it's rough. It's really bad. it's just really bad. It's terrible. It's a terrible fucking strategy. Like, I mean, I'm a little mad at you, frankly, if you voted for him, but, like, there's nothing I can do about that. You voted for him because you're... I would like to give people that voted for him the benefit of the doubt, because the thing is, like, I'm not gonna lie to you, the other side was doing a really bad job of selling their case. They really were. They did not really do a good job of trying to justify why you should vote for him. No, they did not. But I don't know. I feel like... And the thing is, I'm sure that a lot of people voted for him because he was speaking their language, in the sense of, like, he's like, guys, groceries are really expensive right now. Eggs are high. Like, the price of eggs is stupidly high, and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, yes, it was. It really was. So I fully understand why people fell for it. I didn't, but I understand why people fell for it. But now, I think it's, frankly, if you did vote for him, I think it's time to set aside the squabbles and, I think it's time to set aside the squabbles and find, reach some common consensus here. It's kind of screwing everybody over. There's only really one good thing I can take away from this, and that is that, whenever a recession happens, there's always a bit of a weird, reset phenomenon. There's always a reset. So people who, and make no mistake, it's happening. We're going to go into recession. That is the current situation. Oh, Jesus. That was a huge blast radius. Yeah, we're going into a recession. It's happening. It's inevitable at this point. People right now who are scared, or rather, that's not one good thing that always comes out of recession is that for some reason, whenever recessions happen, companies, not just companies, but the employers of the world are, they're always like, man, it's crazy what happened. It's we gotta reset. We gotta think. We really gotta think about what we're doing here. And so what they will always do is what they always end up doing is they find what they always end up doing is hiring younger people. So recessions tend to be pretty rough for super young people. People who are just out of college, they tend to be rough. Recessions for those who have been, out of college for a little bit, or a little more seasoned, tend to be pretty good. Recessions for people who are... Recessions tend to be pretty good for those who are low on the totem pole, but actually on the totem pole. Long term, I should say. Long term, they tend to be good. I think, think about 2000. If you think about 2008 is, in my opinion, a pretty good example. Right around 2008, right around the 2008 crisis is when, a lot of people who are around, I would say probably 40 to 50-ish now. Oh, well, that was bad. A lot of people who are about 40 to 50-ish now got their economic... Oh, shoot, wrong button. Got their, economic start in terms of, having money, having a portfolio, being able to invest. A lot of people who are, around their 50s now... 2008 was almost 20 years ago now. That's crazy to think about. So, those who were, in their late 20s, or early 30s, early to mid 30s, I would say, back in 2008 got to thrive when the 2008 financial crash happened because they were like they were right in that age group, that span where they got to take advantage essentially of the things that happen during recession. And these are things that like this always happens during recessions. Inevitably, these things happen during recession. So, I guess congratulations. I mean, if you're in your, if you're in your like if you're about to be in your mid-30s, you might be doing pretty well in a few years. You might be set. That's the weird thing. Everybody else, buckle up. Buckle up, because it's gonna be a process. It's gonna be quite the process. I guess that's the one good thing about what I'm doing is that won't necessarily be too problematic for me. I'm not sure how much I've talked about this on this channel. Wait, I did the live stream like a little while ago, so I'm primarily pursuing a career in cinematography, which is like it's very much not it's a freelance job. It's very much a freelance job, and that comes with its own like pros and cons, obviously. But one really nice thing is that I won't necessarily have to deal with the kind of crap that others will regarding employment when this recession inevitably happens. I won't have to deal with that. I'm pretty hype about that. I won't lie to you. That is pretty hype inducing. That it's a problem that I won't have to deal with. And while I'm not saying that the freelance life is for everyone, I think if you're capable, you should at least consider it, because man, things are gonna get worse before they're gonna get better. Like, the Dow Jones losing 2,200 points today, and losing even... did it lose even more yesterday, or did it lose more today? I don't remember. But both days it lost quite a lot of money. Or quite a lot of points, rather. The market lost a lot of money. But yeah. It's very much a situation of it's gonna get a whole lot worse before it's gonna get any better, and that sucks. But oh fucking well, that is what the majority of America decided was going to happen. In water. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to get this to him. And, fortunately, none of these things work in water. any fans. Like, I don't have any of the Zonai fans that I could just pop on here. I mean, that, like, that's why. That's a big thing. That's why the Nintendo Switch 2 costs as much as it does. It's because for part of it is because of tariffs. The other part of it is because, you know, a lot of people, a lot of friggin' people. I don't know. It's just rough. It's just really rough, guys. It's just really rough. There's not much I can say about that. Just not a good time. Like, in general, it's just not a good time. It's a rough time to like video games. It's a rough time to it's a rough time. It's just I'm trying to find a better way to say it, a way that doesn't sound so repetitive and whatnot. There really isn't. It's just bad. Things are bad. They're going to get worse for a while. And I know that's not what a lot of people really don't want to hear that. And I get it. I fully understand why you don't want to hear that. I wouldn't want to hear that either, but like, it's reality, and I think it would frankly be it would be worse to just not acknowledge reality. Like, I don't think it's healthy to not acknowledge reality. But I totally understand why people want to not think about that. Switch 2. That's the really annoying part, right? Because, like, video games, and this is talking more about, like, a larger social kind of thing, right? Man, I didn't even talk about the one thing that I wanted to with Switch 2. That's crazy. I'm going to come back to that in a second. Switch 2 and video games in general are supposed to be, keyword, supposed to be, like, enjoyable things. They're supposed to be things that are like that bring you joy, that bring you like happiness, that provide you with entertainment, that provide you with like a good feeling. And the fact that like the response has been so negative to the pricing, to all of it, and I'm with good reason. Like, that's the thing. Like, I it's justified. I can't get mad at anybody who's like, oh, but I don't like this is really bad. I can't get mad at anybody who's like that, who thinks like that, because it's so rough. It really sucks that like the conversation went from like, oh yeah, Switch 2, new fun, blah 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 blah, and I really hate, like, it really sucks that it went from that, like, it went from that fun conversation of like, man, look at all these cool games that are gonna come to the Switch 2, look at all the fun we're about to have, to, oh my god, the economic state of the world. Like, I hate that happened. It's so disheartening, frankly, that that's what happened. it puts me in a bad mood. It really does. Um, oh yeah, let me talk about the other thing I wanted to talk about when it comes to Switch 2. Let me talk about the other thing that I actually wanted to talk about. Which was another like negative thing that I saw a lot of when it comes to Switch 2 was the game chat feature. Um, and the rhetoric that I've seen around it, which is like, oh guys, they just invented Discord. And it's like, yeah, that is basically what that is. That is basically what the game chat like feature is. It's basically just Discord. But I don't know, like here's the thing that I feel like we get caught up in a lot is on the internet is like we are so used to things being a certain way because a lot of the people who are on the internet spend a lot of time on the internet. So like people who watched that Nintendo Direct and watched the game chat section and were like, this is just Discord. Yes, you're not wrong per se, but the main thing that I think we forget is that it's the internet kind of turns it into a bit of an echo chamber. Cuz like everybody that watched that direct has high speed internet, has a pretty constant internet connection, and has a second device that they can constantly have with them, and has the infrastructure and whatnot to make sure that it's like powered properly and whatnot, all the time, to be able to support running a Switch game and Discord at the same time. Or they may have like other hardware like capture cards, for example, right, where they can screen share their gameplay to friends. They may have that. And I think we get caught up in this world of like, oh, well, I have these things, and oh, come on. Really? We get caught up in this like thing is like, well, we have all of these things as people with high speed internet, as people with we get caught up in these things as like people with this kind of privilege that we forget frankly that not everybody has access to this stuff. So having a dedicated method in the system, like built into the system, of being able to do these things that we need external accessories to do, pretty great. Like, I remember everybody, and by the way, I remember absolutely everybody, not even, like, when the Switch came out, being pissed that it didn't have dedicated onboard voice chat, and now it does, and everyone's like, oh, but, like, you could just use Discord. Like, somehow the conversation went from people defending the Switch not having voice chat by saying, well, you can just use Discord, to people attacking the Switch for having voice chat, or to people attacking the Switch 2 for having voice chat by saying you can just use Discord. Make it make sense. I don't know. I think people love to complain is the thing. The other thing is also, like, me personally, I really, really enjoy not having to use Discord, or like having like when the Xbox put Discord like built in. I mean, it wasn't really that much different than just the regular ass party chat, right? Like, it was basically the same thing. It's just now it's using Discord as its like main system instead of using Xbox Party Chat, like instead of using Xbox Live's party system, which is like whoop-de friggin' do. But for me, I think the biggest thing, like, I don't like using Discord. I don't like using a second device I really don't. Because it's not like I can't. It's not like I won't. It's not like I'm like, no, I refuse. It's more like I don't want to. Like I genuinely don't want to have to use a second thing. I don't like it. Plain and simple. I just don't. Uh because it's just like one more thing to worry about. You know what I mean? I've had multiple times where I've been playing games with friends and I'll be using Discord to talk to them, and the thing that I'm using Discord on, like the device that I'm using Discord on, will die. It'll just die because I've been using Discord on it this whole time. I don't want to deal with that. I really don't. I don't enjoy it. And then you have to like fucking figure it out. You have to be like, oh well, do I do this? So it's just like, alright, well at that point it's not. You know what I mean? At that point I'm not having fun. Like I'm just not having fun anymore. Oh yeah, they're out here now. Anyway, I'm gonna go turn in this fishing. I'm gonna go turn in this boat to whatever his name was. Tinoco? I think? No. Tinoco's the name of the island. Who was the quest giver? Gorini. I'm gonna turn this into Gorini. But yeah, I don't know. I enjoy that a lot. I enjoy that feature a lot because I don't like having a second screen to use, to like purposely use Discord for. Like I don't want to have to take my chat system off the system. And I really like that the Switch 2 has a mic built in to the system. If I'm being perfectly honest, I wish the mic was built into the controller, like it is on the PS5. I wish that was the case. I know it's not, but I wish it was. Yeah, I wish it was the case. I really do. I wish that the I wish that the anyway. Yeah, I wish that the stuff that, like, I wish the microphone was on the controllers and not the system itself. They're like, oh, it has like special noise canceling technology. And it's like, one, noise canceling technology is not that special. We've had noise canceling for years. Two, is it gonna friggin' work? And I really don't think it is. Like, I'm sorry, but noise canceling tech, especially with microphones, especially, well, it's not wireless. That is the one nice thing. Is like it's not wireless, so hopefully it's not that bad. But when it comes to like noise canceling mics and whatnot, they're never that good. Like they're just never that good. Time will tell, I think, is the biggest like takeaway, honestly. With not only the Switch 2 and its performance and like what's gonna happen like with it, but also just like time will tell when it comes to, you know, are those tariffs gonna affect things? Well, okay, not are those tariffs gonna affect things, more in the sense of like, are those tariffs gonna be as bad as they seem? Because they seem fucking awful. Yeah. genuinely, and I cannot say this enough, like every single person that's part of this administration and doing these things, these like this economic policy specifically that's part of this, you all suck. Like, y'all are all just bad. Ah. Just every time I think about the freaking politics these days, I want to punch something. It all sucks. Just think of that. I honestly, I just think of that George Carlin clip. He's like, you'll notice in all these things that I hate and that I said that I dislike about society. You'll notice that I never mentioned politicians. Because everybody hates politicians. Everybody says that they suck. Well, where do these politicians come from? They come from American families. They go to American schools. They're American children. This is the best we can do. And it's gross. And they're voted by American citizens. This is the best we can do. Yeah. The public sucks. Fuck hope. I think that was his joke. If I'm remembering right, I think that was his joke. The public sucks. Fuck hope. That was the punchline. And yeah, sometimes it really does feel like that. Boy, I tell you what, sometimes it really does feel like that. Sometimes it's really friggin' hard. Really friggin' hard. To not think that. Alright. How long have I been going at this? Damn, 2 hours. Fuck me. Alright, well, I think this is where I'm gonna call it. I know this was a super, low-key, super chill, super, non-deep thing, and then we ended up talking about politics, which I freaking hate talking about on the internet, but, fuck it. I'm too done. I'm just too friggin' done. Let's wrap this up. Thank you everybody who came out for coming out. Thank you if you watch it. To be honest, I don't care. I just like yapping. Like I said, if I ever stream again, which I probably will, it's just gonna be more yap. It's just more yapping. Alright, I'm done. Peace out, everybody.